Well, welcome to another edition of Let's Talk. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. And today we have another exciting lineup of guests. Why do we as Black folks celebrate the 4th of July? Well, many of us are familiar with the speech abolitionist Frederick Douglass delivered on the 76th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence in Rochester, New York, when he asked, "What to the slave is the 4th of July?" Well, we're going to ask that question to our guest, Connie Matthews Harshaw, the president of Let Freedom Ring Foundation, and board member Nathaniel Brown. And in addition to them, our interns actually went out on the street to talk to some folks out there to find out, why do Black folks celebrate the 4th of July? You got to stay tuned to listen to that. And we'll also introduce you to Henley and Calyssa Zellars, co-founders of Saint Park LLP, a law firm recently opened in Washington, D.C. You may ask why this is significant, but as we explore the stagnant numbers of Blacks entering the law profession, you may appreciate the significant achievements of these two lawyers. And we're also going to talk to Theresa Metzger and Monica Hodnett, who are of Far Cry Songs. And, we're still celebrating Black Music Month. So we're going to find out about their music production, what it's like to be songwriters, and hear a little taste of what Far Cry Songs has been up to. And last but not least, we're still in the month of National Oral Health Month. So we're looking forward to talking to Dr. Arlene Asante, who will be joining us to talk about what we can do. We've heard some amazing stories about folks who have, not taken care of their oral health and the impact that has on our entire bodies, our brains, the whole body. So Dr. Asante is going to share some good information with us about that. So moving forward, I hope you picked up a copy of the Washington Informer newspaper this week. As usual, we are still printing. So just want to let you know, you can get a print copy at over 500 locations over the DMV. And in this week's issue, we also have The Bridge, which is the monthly publication that targets millennials who are aging. I like to joke about that. And Gen Zers who are aging too. So, for those of us who are, boomers, Chevy, we're aging too. But anyway, pick up this week's copy of the Washington Informer. And if you haven't picked it up, or if you're watching us online, know that you can also get your digital copy at our website, washingtoninformer.com. Please go there and check it out. And when you do, you'll see a little pop-up, which will ask you to all you have to do is just submit your email address, no costs, no other information, just your email address, and we will gladly welcome you into the Washington Informer family, which means that you'll be getting the Washington Informer digital edition online. In addition to our daily newsletter, Win Daily, Washington Informer News Daily, you'll get that online. And all the other exciting things that we're involved with that we think you need to know about. So go ahead and sign I hope I have not been muted the whole time. Have you all been able to hear me? Because I have just been on a roll here. Hi, Helen. But anyway, I hope you've been able to hear me because I don't want to start all over again. I just want to say welcome. But yeah, I was talking about the presidential debate last night, and I'm still trying to exhale, and I'm still trying to say, as I think all of us are, we have to stay engaged in the process. And so the next 4 years, we may have to do it, stuck in our lips and rolling our eyes or what have you. But we still are going to have to ask folks, make sure you stay engaged, make sure you go out and vote. And if your vote is only for your local election, do that. Please do that. We've got to stay engaged in the process. And so I don't know if you had a chance to watch the debate. Again, we were out talking to folks at places, Busboys and Company, Busboys and Poets had watch parties all throughout the city, and we went to a few other places just to get folks' feedback. And so, if you just want to, while we're talking through the program, you have some comments about last night, I'd really love to share that with you, what other folks are thinking, or if you would share that with us, it would be really great. But, is America in trouble? I wouldn't go so far as to say that, but I would say that it's time to really develop new leadership. And I will be attending the Democratic National Convention. My eyes are going to be open to the up and coming folks who we will have to select from, who Democrats will have to select from in the future. We've seen those that are up and coming in the Republican Party, not impressed by those individuals. So we're going to continue this conversation as we go on, and especially if you did not get a chance to hear the Gen Z panel at the National Newspaper Publishers Association conference last week, I suggest that you visit that website. If we can find a link, we'll share that with you in the comments section, and check it out, because it really helps you to understand where the next generation is in engaging in politics and the true issues that are on their hearts and minds that we really need to listen to. So anyway, having said all that, let's move on to our weekly news broadcast with Curtis Knowles, and I'll see you on the other side.
This is Win TV News, bringing you the news that matters. DC's mayor and police chief believe a key in driving down crime involves new airborne technology, which was unveiled Monday morning. The district's new $6.2 million Airbus H-125 helicopter took a test flight from the DC police heliport a few hundred yards from Audi Field in Southwest. The new helicopter, dubbed Falcon 1, which boasts superior speed, agility, and fuel consumption, will replace the previous copter, which is about 20 years old. Also on display is one of 5 new drones, which the MPD will use for the first time. The Parrot and Naffy drones are capable of flying for 30 minutes without recharging and are equipped with cameras, but not capable of carrying objects. Police Chief Pamela Smith commented saying, quote, "With the ability to link to our real-time crime centers, we will be able to provide even more information to our officers on the ground." After Councilmember Jamel Franklin resigned earlier this month, the Prince George's County Council announced Tuesday that dates have been set for a special primary and general election to fill the at-large council seat. Franklin has been charged with multiple counts of felony theft, scheme, embezzlement, and perjury, as the prosecutor said he used campaign funds to pay for personal expenses. The council said in a news release that the special primary election will take place on August 6th, and the special general election will take place on November 5th. Aspiring council members must file a certificate of candidacy with the Board of Elections by next Friday, July 5th, to run in the special election. Eugene Daniels, co-author of the Daily Political Playbook, will embark on a new and exciting journey at the helm of the White House press corps later this month as its first Black queer president. Daniels has spent the past 2 years training, researching, and studying how to take on this highly acclaimed role, as he's covered every presidential election dating back to 2016 and currently serves as senior correspondent for MSNBC's Morning Joe, in addition to regular appearances on NBC's Meet the Press. Daniels commented on his new position saying, quote, "It is always said that the president of the board is the voice of the association, but I truly believe they also serve as the ears as well. I promise to all you to listen to your concerns, advice, and feedback as we go on this journey together, as no president does it alone."
All right. Thank you very much, Curtis, for that update. And we're going to go ahead and proceed with the show. I am so excited to bring on our new guest, Connie Matthews Harshaw, president of the Let Freedom Ring Foundation, along with Nathaniel Brown, who's the board chair. But before we do that, let's take a look at this video.
My country tears of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims' pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring.
Wow. Good afternoon, Ms. Harshaw and Mr. Brown. Welcome to WIN TV. Denise, let's talk. That's, you know who I am. Anyway, how are you all?
We are fine. Thank you so much for having us on.
Yes, we are. Very much.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to have you here. You know, I as you heard me earlier intro the speech by Frederick Douglass, and when he spoke at the 76th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and he asked that question, you know, to what is freedom, or to what is the Declaration of Independence to the slave, right? And so it sounds like you all are kind of still trying to address that issue, to ask that question. So tell us, or answer that question. Tell us about the foundation and how that applies to where we are today as we begin to celebrate, observe the 4th of July. I'll put it that way.
Well, we here in Williamsburg, we celebrate a season of freedom because we have a very complex history. You know, Williamsburg and the country will celebrate the birth of American independence. But what we can't forget is that the first slave landed here in 1619. For 150 years, people of color were here working, living, worshiping in this place. And so, you know, we have in Williamsburg uncovered the fact that Williamsburg, the city, was 52% Black in 1776.
Wow.
Free and enslaved Blacks. So we can't forget about that part. We're still struggling with it because we have Juneteenth, we have July 4th, and we now have a consortium here that we are founding partners of, where we celebrate a season of freedom. We start on June 19th and we don't finish until after the 4th of July.
That is, you know, I have to say, Williamsburg is, I love historic places, and Williamsburg is on the top of my list. And of course, several years ago, I took a visit there, and I spent, that's how I learned about, what is it? January 1st.
Watch night.
Watch night, because
Yes,
we spent it at, what's the plantation that's down there?
There are several plantations that are here.
Okay, I should know. Right.
In fact, we have Plantation Row on Route 5, but some of the very famous ones, of course, are from our most famous Virginians and all of our presidents. But you're right, Watch Night, a lot of people didn't know what it was. They just thought you went to church on Christmas Eve. They didn't understand that the Emancipation Proclamation became effective on January 1st, 1863.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we have big Watch Night celebrations here.
All I can remember is Grove, but there was
Grove.
Yes. And so there we spent Watch Night, and it really had a lot of meaning to me after that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, these occasions, the 4th of July, Watch Night, or New Year's Eve, to us have totally different meanings, which is why I really appreciate reading Frederick Douglass's speech. And so, you know, you all are there in Williamsburg, you're bringing our African-American history to life. And tell us how else you all are doing this, Mr. Brown.
Well, one of the things we're doing is that we've developed a documentary called History Half Told is Untold. And what you just saw was the trailer to that. But that documentary actually tells a more complete story of our history. And we do emphasize that African-American history is American history. And we tell it to everyone that we run across. I have made concerted effort to get that documentary out to as many people, organizations as possible throughout the Williamsburg community and beyond. And we've had pretty relative success in doing that, and we're still doing it. But we know we're trying to fill in a gap, because we know there are certain gaps in our history, and we're just simply trying to fill in one of them and trying to educate everyone that sees that film about the achievements that and the resiliency that Black people have done and are still doing in our history and in this country.
I guess this is what happens, because as you talk, things are coming back to me now. Carter's Grove.
Carter's Grove. That's
Mhm.
right. Carter's
Yeah.
Grove Plantation.
Yes, a couple times. And, I always say that when it comes to Black history, a lot of historic places like Williamsburg and others, once upon a time, it was not our history, they would say, and Black people, the slaves lived over there, and there's nothing really to document the lives that we lived, especially knowing that there were so many free Black people in that area. I never knew that. So is the film available generally, or is it something that we all must make a trip to Williamsburg to see? And what else are you all doing down there to make that trip memorable?
All right. Well, I guess I'll go first, Connie.
Okay.
The film is available, but you don't necessarily have to make a trip to Williamsburg
Okay.
to see it. We can link you to see the film, and we actually do make a presentation about the film so that people will understand a little bit about it ahead of time. I can honestly tell you that the great majority of times we have shown that film, many people have walked away saying, "Gee, I didn't know that."
Mm-hmm.
And because that was an aspect of our history that was not taught to us in school. This is something that's truly important when, excuse me, it talks about the humanity of people, of our people at that time and up to the present. Um, we can easily link someone to see the trailer and the film, but we also like to talk to them briefly, because I like to know, what questions do you have about history, about our history, that you either didn't know about, and try to encourage them to talk to their own members of their own family about their history, so that we would know about it. What our mothers and dads did, and our uncles and grandparents, and so forth and so on, and learn to appreciate the challenges they went through to get this far.
So I think Nat is being a bit modest as well, Ms. Barnes. We were the recipients of the Virginia Black Film Festival Award
Yes.
last February at Hampton
Wonderful.
University. We debuted our film in the United Kingdom last summer,
That's
because
right.
there is an amazing interest in the work that we're doing here, which includes, and I love it when people say, well, I come to Williamsburg. I love to come to Williamsburg. When we have the folks that are in the business of marketing saying, if I'm a Black person, why do I want to come to Williamsburg? And we are now in the process of answering that question, and answering it very well.
That's right.
We have
That's
the
right.
most significant archaeological project in the country right now. We have just uncovered artifacts from the original church, one of the first churches in the country, Black churches. We found 62 intact burials.
Wow.
We celebrated on Juneteenth the markers that will lay there indefinitely. No one will ever have to pay admission to see those. That's the deal that we struck. We have William and Mary digitizing artifacts. We have family members bringing Bibles, 1852, because now they are understanding and accepting that our history matters. It matters. This wasn't Black history and white history. It was American history. And we have to tell it in the context of the American story.
In addition, the James City, there's a high school here called James City County High School, and they are in the process of incorporating our documentary into their U.S. history curriculum, and that makes them the first high school in the country to do that. And
Wow.
we're excited about that, because we're trying to get the word out to as many people as possible about
Well,
our
we're
history.
Yeah, we're glad that you all joined us here today to talk about this, particularly at this time. All those significant dates. I think it was the what is it? The anniversary of Jamestown. I came down for that. It sounds as if, despite what folks are trying to do to bury or deny us our history, it just seems like it can't happen. I don't know if you're getting funding or supported from the state or from the city of Williamsburg. How are you all able to do all this work?
Well, let me just tell you that when we announced the work that we were going to do to uncover the foundation of the original church and have it restored, well, first to look for it. Within 3 weeks, Colonial Williamsburg had received $3.5 million in donations. The country now is ready to hear the full story. 6 months later, they got another Mellon grant for $4 million. Because it's important that you understand that before 1789, before they offered, freedom of religion in our Constitution, you had Black folks that were enslaved. They knew what it meant to worship freely in the way that they could and in the way that they brought with them from Africa. So this story is a compelling story. You have a white townsman who donated land to these Black people, free and enslaved, for the sole purpose of administering and understanding and using their, and honoring their faith. So, it is a wonderful story. It's a powerful story. We are now negotiating with the Smithsonian to get the data from the 2 earliest Africans that landed here. They have done the data, have gotten it. It is now with the Smithsonian. We are negotiating with them to pull that back down here. We are now asking our families here to trace their genealogy because, as you can imagine, there's a lot of race mixing. We have people in the Black community who know now because of Ancestry.com that they're descendants of John Tyler, President John Tyler. So we're doing a lot here to connect the descendant community and to do the work that we need to do for the African American Heritage Trail is going to be in place in 2026. So we're going to invite you to come back because we can guarantee you that experience is going to be quite different than when you came and visited Carter's Grove.
I believe it. Wonderful. And we do, the Washington Informer Charities does an annual African American Heritage Tour. And so we're going to mark that date. We'll talk some more, but we'll mark that date in 2026 to make sure we bring, and we usually travel anywhere from, about 100 to 300 people strong. So we will, going to put that down for 2026. Do you know when and exactly when the trail opens?
I can tell you that I'm going to speak for the city now, which I'm sure I'll end up paying for tonight at a reception.
All right.
But I can tell you the anniversary of the church is October the 9th, 2026.
Okay.
That is the date that we're shooting for, not just for the church, but also the African American Heritage Trail, because I also sit on that board. And I wanted to sit there because I want all of this to come together at the same time and to make sure that our voices are heard as well.
Well, before I let you go, I'm always curious about how, some of us end up in these places and spaces. And so are you all from originally, your families, you, Mr. Brown or Ms. Harshaw, are you from Williamsburg? Are you part of these historic families? Or, what made you dig in and decide, this is going to be your life's calling?
I am. That's interesting. I am not from Williamsburg originally. I'm from Baltimore, as a matter of fact.
Okay, all right.
And I moved to I actually retired from my job and so forth, and moved to Williamsburg. And it really started when I attended the church, and the pastor asked me, asked me to be involved in a project called Let Freedom Ring, and I was thinking it was a little church project, and it turned out to be huge.
It is huge, yes.
But it's also I find it very rewarding to share our history with as many people as possible, because I want people to know the truth about us, and to understand that, I always ask this question. If you were in the 1700s, you were not considered to be human. So why would people be interested in knowing what you believe in religiously?
Mm-hmm.
And that I ask that question so people can think. Remember, these were people like you and me, and so forth. And Connie clearly emphasized they did have strong religious beliefs. And look what God has done. The church
Wow.
is 247 years old. My goodness, that's amazing.
I am not
It's
from the
exciting.
area.
Okay.
I am not from the area. My father was a military. I'm a military dependent. I went to school in Hampton, and then I left here and came to the DC area. But I have to tell you that working in the descendant community, I keep saying, I'm not a descendant, I'm not a descendant. And they said, but we were waiting for you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you,
Yeah.
that hits me in
Yeah.
the deepest parts of my soul when I have a 93-year-old woman that says to me, you came to us because God will place strangers in your midst to carry your cause. And, that's what motivates me every morning when I get up and I think about all of this work, and Nat knows it's a lot of work,
It is.
but
It
Can
that's what energizes me.
That's
So
right.
I'm going to have to come and check you out, Connie, because we may have crossed paths at Hampton. I'm not sure because I was there for a couple years as well.
Okay.
But anyway, I just, again, as we begin to celebrate the 4th of July or observe, I keep saying some celebrate, some just observe. But in your opinion, how should we observe, Black people observe the 4th of July?
Well, I don't want to diminish the fact that, again, my perspective is as a military dependent.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my father that because I grew up in Montgomery before coming to Virginia. And I said to him, we came back to the United States in 1959, and we were stationed in Montgomery, Alabama at the Air University. And I said, Daddy, why is it that you wear your uniform proudly? You can't even eat in the restaurants. You can't stay in the hotels. What is wrong with you? And he said, it's simple. This is my country. And that was pretty powerful for me because as much as I struggle with our complex history, I know that my father stood in the line of fire to defend the nation. And when we think about that, he's not the only one. We have Black Revolutionary War soldiers that fought. And we know their names. That's the good things now. We know their names now, that they fought for the independence of this country.
That's
And
right.
so that's the part that we have to struggle with, and we have to balance, and we have to be okay and acknowledge it because it is our country. This is our country. And so that no one gets the exclusivity of celebrating, acknowledging, or doing whatever. We were here. We ain't going nowhere. We gonna be here.
I'm sorry, I keep going on mute for some reason. But on that note, I want to thank you all so very much for being with us, for ending on that very strong note. And we certainly do want to hear more about what's happening down there in Williamsburg. So I guess I'm going to have to come so I can come back and tell folks.
Yes.
Okay. Have a wonderful day and keep working on our behalf. We appreciate you.
We will.
We
Thank
will.
you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank both of you. All right, I don't know if we're going to still show that video of the folks that we talked to here on the streets of Washington, D.C. I said, okay, I'm getting instructions. We're going to do this at the end of the program. So in the meantime, let's bring on our next guest, Kaya Henley and Calyssa Zellars, co-founders and partners of Saint Park LLP. Welcome to Let's Talk.
Hi, Denise.
How are you all doing? Oh, wonderful. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time today, Denise, and, for having us here. So we're excited to chat with you.
Well, one of the things as you heard when I opened up is that, there's some concern, of course, you all are lawyers, I have a law degree, but nobody asked me that. But at any rate, you're lawyers, and we are still very underrepresented in the field of law. And now with folks are saying because of affirmative action, what have you, it may have a negative impact on individuals like yourselves. Now, I understand women are really kind of rolling into these positions. So I want to know a little bit about your journey, and then tell us about the law firm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to tell you a little bit about our journey, and then we can talk about kind of the importance of this with the just kind of need for diversity in the legal profession. I'll say Kaya and I met at law school all those years ago. We met at the University of Michigan Law School. We were friends. And Denise, last March, we were at our school's Black Alumni Reunion, and we really were discussing our respective careers. We'd always kept in touch. And really just over dinner, very kind of organically, we decided to start Saint Park LLP. I mean, we, right at that initial meeting, set up the the next meeting, and really got to work. And in August of 2023, we launched Saint Park LLP. I'll tell you a little bit more about the firm too. We are a niche practice, right? We are a boutique law firm, meaning we specialize in 3 practice areas. We specialize in crisis management, investigations, and then overall strategic counsel, where we're able to really support small businesses and also, of course, Black-owned businesses. This is important because it really reflects our cross-industry experience. You asked about our journey. I have to mention that Kaya is a proud graduate of the University of Maryland and grew up right there near the DC area in Baltimore. And so she started her career as a Baltimore public defender and really leveraged her trial experience, her litigation experience into big law, and most recently was at really the oldest law firm on Wall Street, leading top white collar enforcement investigations. I started my career as a deal lawyer and really decided I should really leverage and really combine my previous skill set in PR, where I started my career with the Detroit Lions. I should leverage that into really combine that with my legal skill set. And so the firm really reflects our crisis communications background, our investigations and strategic counsel background too. And last,
go ahead. I was going to bring Kaya in because I wanted to know a little bit about her journey as well. Kaya, you want to jump in?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, sure. So I graduated law school at a time where there was bipartisan support for criminal justice reform. I think the entire nation recognized at that point in time something had to change. It didn't really matter where you were on the political spectrum. We realized that our criminal justice system needed improvements. And so there was a lot of support for young law students to go into the kinds of positions that could do that. And so I wanted to help. I wanted to serve in the exact district where I was from. And so I became a public defender in the metropolitan Baltimore area, day in, day out, helping indigent clients with their criminal cases, felonies, and misdemeanors. I absolutely loved my work. I characterize myself as a true believer through and through. It is such important and critical work. I also knew that I was not a lifer. And so I leveraged those trial skills into what's the term is big law, right? It's some of the largest law firms in the country who often do work for large corporations. And so I leveraged those trial skills there and worked in global litigation and investigations roles for the majority of my career until we founded Saint Park last year.
Wonderful. Well, I congratulate you because, there are a handful of Black law firms, not only in the DMV, but around the country. And those led by women is also significantly low. And I'm just curious, I know you all are strictly talking about, sort of the business that you provide. And we want to talk a little bit about that, particularly when it comes to crisis management. And why do small businesses need lawyers in the first place? But how do you find yourself in the space and place of being women in law?
Yeah, I would say you're exactly right. Women make up right now about a little bit over 30% of lawyers in the country, right? So that means 70% of lawyers are men. And what we know about diversity, whether it is racial diversity, gender diversity, ethnicity, background, sexual orientation, is that diversity breeds creative solutions. It breeds diversity of thought, right? And so when we talk about, for example, criminal justice reform, or how do we move our country forward or break barriers and progress, well, that requires diversity of thought, and it requires to bring more people to the table. We can't expect to have new solutions to old problems if we keep putting the same people at the table, because we're then just going in circles having the same conversations. So I think that when you bring in more diversity of thought, you're more likely to get better solutions to our problems.
You know, I think I harp on this because just a Black history note, you know, my stepmother, who became an attorney, I think in probably the 1930s or 40s, something like that. But at any rate, she was the founder of the National Association of Black Women Attorneys. Now, I don't think that organization really exists because the National Bar has its own women's division. But even with that, she found it was important to create an organization just for Black women lawyers who she advocated for. So, you know, I have a particular fondness for those of you all who have kind of struck out there and still beat the odds and still making a difference. And now in DC, trying to support small businesses. So, Calyssa, I mean, why would someone need a crisis attorney, and why do small businesses need a lawyer anyway? Particularly since, you know, a lot of us may not end up in legal situations. What is it a lawyer can do for us?
Yeah, I think seeking legal representation really early on is just critical. I mean, Kai and I have seen time and time again, small businesses that come to us when, I don't want to say it's too late, but it's just easier to go ahead and get someone on board who can look at your contracts, look at your agreements. And particularly for us in crisis communications, you know, I started my career with the Detroit Lions, right? So I'm used to having dealt I'm used to seeing the kind of internal comms perspective. And then I've also managed crisis communications and done strategic comms for a variety of businesses. And now, particularly post-pandemic, we should all know it's no longer a matter of if, it's really a matter of when it comes to crises. And so it's just better to have a plan in place. Kai and I really encourage small businesses up to, you know, middle market companies, all the way up to corporations, of course, to get a plan in place. Really think through, how will the election affect you and your business, right? If the laws change, how will that affect you? Again, going back to the pandemic, supply chain issues, right? Those were very prevalent, and they continue to be so even 4 years post-pandemic. And so you really do want to make sure that you are get a plan in place, retain someone who has that crisis management and crisis communications experience, so you're not caught off guard. Last thing I'll say, Denise, is we often get people who say, oh, I just had no idea that this was going to become a crisis. I mean, this just came out of nowhere. In each and every situation, I've been able to see where there's been smoke that became a fire. There's always something, whether it's a few weeks before, a few months prior, right, to really indicate that this could become a problem. So we just ask people to really retain someone as early as possible, as soon as you get kind of notice that trouble is on the way.
Kai, if I could get you, and we are getting short on time now, but we keep using that crisis term, but in real sort of common layman's sense, what an example of a crisis that a typical small business might experience?
Yeah, for sure. So let's define it first. I think that's a great question. We define a crisis very simply as a business disruption, something that could happen that could stop your business, whether it's the smallest mom and pop shop or a large corporation, from doing business as you intended, from meeting your goals, from delaying your progress, from meeting your metrics, right? And so for a mom and pop shop, for example, let's do supply chain, because I think that for every company, there's some kind of supply chain. It could be a pizza shop. And there are problems with the dairy industry over in the middle of the country, but you run a pizza shop in DC, right? It is making sure that you have secondary suppliers, or that you've thought through how you would go about meeting your recipe and ingredient needs if there's ever some kind of issue with who typically distributes or supplies your goods. For a large corporation, it could be as large as what we're seeing in the news right now, let's say a Boeing, where they're being brought into the Senate floor to testify about safety issues with their planes. And so it is any kind of disruption that could stop you from doing your business and distract from the work of your company.
So we're not necessarily saying, that you all are, that it's a case where you have to go to court. It's a case where you might have to negotiate some changes within your business, or you have to meet with the federal government or the local government to just make sure that your interests are protected and that sort of thing. Is that?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That is exactly
all right.
right. Yes.
Okay.
Risk management.
We're hoping it doesn't get to that, Denise, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the
exactly.
goal.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you all so very much for being with us and sharing this new business, this new venture that you're all involved in. Where are you located in DC?
So we have an office on K Street, on 15th and K Street, but we also have an office in Detroit as well. So those are our two locations.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, best wishes, and we need you, and we certainly do feel comfortable with folks that look like us, who can understand and represent our interests. So thank you so very much.
Great. Thank you for having us, Denise.
All righty. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Okay. So thank you. So we're going to now, move on, because this is Black Music Month. And so it's my pleasure. I think we're going to listen to a little snippet of a song from Far Cry Songs, and then we're going to talk to the songwriters in just a few minutes.
Time to make it right. My Lord, you came in the middle of a storm.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was short. I wanted to hear more. Theresa, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. Is Monica with us? There she is.
She's here. I'm here.
Okay. All right. To Ms. Theresa Metzger and Monica Hodnett. Thank you.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Perfectly. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. And you guys, you ladies, I should say, are songwriters and a Far Cry Songs. Tell us a little bit about the label. It is a label. I didn't get that right.
Well, it's not a label. It's a conglomerate. Okay. It's a partnership between myself and Monica as songwriters.
Okay.
So we publish together. We publish our songs together. It's a publishing company.
And is it mostly what's the genre? Is it gospel?
Okay, so
is it...
No, we're not stuck in a box. So we write gospel, we write country music, rock music, Afrobeat. Anything that comes to mind, whatever however the spirit moves us, we write.
Wonderful. And how long have you all been working together?
About 20 years now.
It's been about 20 years. Of, we started out as friends first and discovered one day that, hey, we actually have a knack, the both of us have a knack for coming up with a good story. So we decided to try to do songwriting, and it kind of fell into our laps a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So where are you all headed? I mean, who are some of the musicians and songwriters who've inspired you the most, and what does Far Cry Songs offer to the rest of us?
Well, you want to take that?
Yeah, Yeah, we have been inspired by the likes of Stevie Wonder, Lionel Richie, Marvin Gaye, local DC artist, of course. We believe he was way ahead of his time, just coming up with those melodies and the music and everything. We were really inspired by that, as well as so many others, too many to name. As Theresa mentioned, we believe this is a gift that God has given to us. Like, we don't sit and try to write, it'll come right to us. Just we can hear some music and just it'll come to us. So we believe it's definitely a God-given gift, and it has allowed us to work with many different types of people, and just we've got music videos out there. Go to our YouTube channel or our website for our cry songs, and you have a variety there: country, rock, R&B.
Oh, okay.
Afro beats,
little dance hall.
We've even had a song translated in Latin, so we've got it all there.
Now, did either one of you sing?
We both can sing.
We can hold a tune, but we're not singers. You won't see us on
You
stage.
may hear our voices on some background vocals here and there, but our preference is songwriting.
Right.
So, that, I mean, as a writer myself sometimes, and I've never considered, myself a feature writer or not, nonfiction or whatever, but we get inspired by certain things, right? That make us write certain things. And what are the inspirations? We talked about people, but we're in a time right now that's really crazy. At least I'm defining it as crazy. So what's inspiring the words or the songs that you all have come up with lately?
Yeah, real life situations. Right now, we currently have a well-known Nigerian artist by the name of Stella Monier, and she's been on quite a life journey. And once I've read about where she's been in her life and some of the challenges she's been through, we decided that we wanted to write something for her that was inspirational. The song is called He Prepared Me, and we're actually shooting the music video for that tomorrow, and that's going to be released coming up soon. So that's one of the things. And also doing some collaborative writing with Stacey Ladisaw, another DC local. And we've worked with Callie Day, another well-known singer. She has an amazing voice and went viral, and tens of millions of views out there on her singing. So we were lucky to have her do a couple of our songs as well.
You're muted, Denise.
My computer here, so I am just having a little bit of a challenge today, so I appreciate your patience. But when it comes to what you all do, what are some of the challenges that you faced in actually getting your songs out and getting them to artists? Because you can sit and write all day, but unless someone actually accepts the song, I mean, I don't know the process, so I'd like to know a little bit more about that.
Let
me answer that, because Monica has a gift. Okay. Monica has a gift. I believe that she was born with. She's able to talk to anybody, and she's not afraid to talk to anyone or go anywhere or send an email to anyone's inbox. So what we do is we kind of cold call. If we have a song that we think we've written for someone and it fits for them, we'll just search the internet and find a contact for them, find their manager, find their best friend, their sister, cousin, send them a message and try to get to the person that we're trying to get to let them hear this song, because we believe so much in what we're doing that, hey, this song is absolutely for you. It sounds like you. It's about your story. So, I mean, it has been a challenge trying to get to certain people. And, since if you're not like A-list, if you're not Beyonce's sister, a lot of people don't want to actually listen to what you have to say. So you have to just be confident and keep pushing forward, because at the end of the day, music is what connects us all, and it serves as a soundtrack to most of our experiences. So once we get them to open up their ear and listen, normally the answer is yes, they'll go ahead and record it for us.
And do you all follow the trends? Because, currently, I mean, of course, in our community, it's always been, for DC, go-go, hip hop has been very strong. Now there seems to be this emergence, of country music. I don't know if you all have entered into that
Oh, yes.
genre as well.
Funny you asked.
Yeah, and then of course gospel, but go ahead.
One of our biggest influences was Lionel Richie that Monica mentioned earlier. It was some years ago that we were watching a video of Lionel Richie and Kenny Rogers sitting at the piano and writing together and singing. I think it was Lady they were singing. Remember that song they had back in the 80s?
I do remember.
And we looked at each other and we were like, you know what? I like country music. I've been listening to country music my whole life. Monica's been listening here and there to country music. So we decided to, step our foot into that arena, and we've got about 25 country songs that we've written.
Wow.
Yeah. We've actually traveled to Nashville. We've attended the Dove Awards there in Nashville. Yeah, we have our hand in everything.
So let me ask you, if there was that one person out there that you would just love for them to say, look, I like the song, I'm gonna be the artist on this song. I mean, do you have your sights on any particular artist?
We've got quite a few of those, but
I'm sure.
I'm thinking that one of my personal favorite that I want to get a song to is Rihanna. Theresa, I don't know what your...
Actually, she was on the list as well. Beyonce was next on the list. I'd like to try that. Like we're not Beyonce and Rihanna's age. But
no, really, honestly, and you couldn't have told me that, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not ashamed. Happy to still be here.
Yes.
Happy to still be growing old gracefully and still be chasing a dream. But Rihanna, Beyonce, those kind of artists, because they stretch the limits, they don't stay inside of a box. And that's kind of how me and Monica write together. We don't keep ourselves, limited to, women only talk about this, or this age group only talks about this, or you shouldn't do this kind of music or this kind of track. You shouldn't work with that kind of producer.
If there's an audience for it, then we can write it. And in fact, like Theresa and I we write together and we write individually. So sometimes we call and we just, run things by each other and say, well, what do you think of this melody? What do you think of this music? And that collaboration, whether it's together or individual, we always collaborate at some point to figure out the next steps.
So there are folks out there that, music has lots of roles. You have the musicians, you have the performers, you have the songwriters, right? And so, there are all kinds of roles that we can play in this industry, especially as we acknowledge Black Music Month. Yeah. But if you and you do have this opportunity right now to give some words of encouragement to songwriters or some lessons learned, what would they be?
First would be educate yourself. Educate yourself about the music industry. It's ever changing. Nothing is in stone. Processes change all the time. And
especially
we know
historically, era.
Yeah, historically, Black songwriters have been kind of jilted a little bit. You know what I mean? It took years for us to get to the point. Remember when Smokey Robinson was writing for Motown and Marvin Gaye, they weren't getting paid the kind of money that they were supposed to. And it took for, innovation and education for them to actually get to where they own their own publishing and things like that. And now with AI and with the internet and things that are being released online, there's so much to learn. So that would be the key piece of advice that I would give someone. Make sure that you understand what you're getting yourself into and read and study.
Read. Monica, any advice?
Yes, a lot of people are excited to get signed. Well, Theresa and I, we decided, you know what, let's learn this whole process and we can get our own royalties. We can do our own production. We don't just write songs. We also make the music from time to time. We sing the songs and we to make sure that whoever is going to sing the song for us knows exactly how the melodies go. So be involved in the whole process. I think you should definitely know everything that's happening with your music. make sure it's copyrighted. Make sure you protect yourself. Don't sign any deals that you don't feel comfortable with. And just like Theresa said, educate yourself and make sure that you can keep as much of what you've owned, what you should own.
Work for it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Make sure. Okay.
And don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dream.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you, ladies, for being with us. Again, we're talking about Far Cry songs. We're talking to Theresa Metzger and Monica Hodnett. Thank you so very much for being with you. And Mom, I want to thank you for allowing us to spend time with your son this summer.
Yes. We're just sharing all of the news articles. He's always running out of the door saying, "Oh, I'm going to cover this. I'm going to cover that." So I love it. Thank you for having me.
Quite proud of DeMarco as well, and he's actually, been seen here on Win TV. So, all right, for DeMarco.
He's going to be helping edit the new video after tomorrow. So
wonderful.
We'll make sure you get a copy of that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. Okay, let us know when you get that song to Beyonce or Rihanna.
Absolutely.
You'll be the first to know.
FarCrySongs.com. Check us out.
All righty. Thanks much.
Right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So this is also National Oral Health Month, folks. And I hope you brushed your teeth today. And I hope that you brush your teeth every day, because if you don't, Dr. Asante has some words for you. Dr. Asante, welcome to Let's Talk.
Thank you so much, Denise. I'm so excited to be here and share tips and some good education for something that I'm so passionate about, which is oral health.
Yeah. And, I'm talking about brushing teeth, but it's more to our oral health, our dental health, than just brushing our teeth. So, so that we can get through this month and feel as though we're going to have at least a few teeth left for the rest of our lives. Tell us what we need to be doing.
Well, I find that in our community, we don't see the connection between our physical body and our health and our oral cavity. Unfortunately, I find that a lot of patients love to go to see their physician. Annually, women, we go to see our OBGYN, but we forget to go to the dentist every 6 months. And depending on what the condition of your teeth, you might have to come every 3 to 4 months. So I'm here to pretty much just share with the community that we need to go to the dentist. We need to be proactive. We need to make sure that we are taking care of our overall body and not just our physical body and not our oral health.
We have heard some pretty sad stories over the years. A young child, actually, I think he was 9 or 10 years old, who had so many cavities and his mouth was in such bad shape that he ended up dying because the decay went to his brain. And we don't always think about our oral health and the impact that it has on our other parts of our body, as you said. And we think sometimes brushing is enough. What more should we be doing just on a daily basis to take care of our oral health?
One, you find a dentist that you can trust and that you can connect with. Don't just settle on the first dentist you meet. Shop around, find the dentist you feel like you can connect with and that you feel like has values that you support. That the day-to-day routine that should be definitely included in your everyday life is brushing twice a day, having an electric toothbrush, flossing, mouthwash as well is a good adjunctive to add to your daily routine. And then also being compliant with your doctor. Once you find a doctor that you feel safe with, vulnerable, you feel like you could be vulnerable with, because a lot of times, unfortunately, people feel embarrassed, and that's the reason why they don't want to come to the dentist. But once you find a doctor that you feel comfortable with, I highly recommend that you be compliant about what they provide, what treatment they're recommending for you. I find that that's another issue that hurts our community, is that we might go to the dentist maybe once every 2 years. But then when we get there, we don't necessarily follow through with the treatment. So that's another issue. And again, like I said before, your oral health affects your physical body. So if there's bacteria, if there's diseases that have accumulated in your mouth and you're not addressing them, unfortunately, you're not overall healthy, even though you could be running around.
Mm-hmm.
your mouth, unfortunately, is unhealthy. And that's where we see bad breath, tar, bacteria, pain, swelling, and so forth.
Now, I got to challenge you on this one, because every time I go to the dentist, I leave with a toothbrush and a little sample of some kind of toothpaste. But you said it's important to use an electric toothbrush. So my dentist doesn't give me an electric toothbrush. Is there something that I'm doing wrong when I only use a manual toothbrush? I mean, what's the difference between the two? Why is an electric toothbrush so important to our oral health?
I love the electric toothbrush. Now, yes, in the old days in dentistry, it was just custom for us to give a goodie bag that you had described. But with dentistry evolving with so much technology, so much research, so much expansion of different ways we can help enhance our patients' care, especially with a lot of people, we're busy, you know, where you might be a stay-at-home mom, you might be a principal, you might be a cop, you might be a news anchor, you know, so a lot of times because of we're hustling and bustling, we can't do those small things that we would love to do. And unfortunately, sometimes people don't even brush their teeth for 2 to 3 minutes, which is required. So the reason why I stand behind an electric toothbrush is because, one, the technology now with the electric toothbrush, it tells you when you're brushing too hard. It tells you when you're not brushing long enough. It tells you what surfaces you're brushing and if you're missing a spot. It also accommodates you to allow you to brush your tongue properly. So it has so much technology and tools to it that I think will help fill in those gaps that we have when we're not brushing our teeth right. So essentially, we have a toothbrush that talks to you now. So when those times that you're not with your dentist in those 6 months, you have a tool right in front of you that can help you improve your overall dental health.
I have so many questions for you, Dr. Asante. We don't really have a lot of time, but because we're getting ready to go back to school, I know one of the things we try to do is for our health supplement is talking about preparing children for the school year. And we do have kids, you know, whose diets are not great, who eat a lot of sweets. We have adults that do that as well. But with that in mind, I mean, how should parents really be taking care of their children's dental health or oral health?
I think, and I love that question because I always challenge parents when they come in here. You know, I tell them, well, when they come to my office, I tell them, you know, we don't want to pass down bad habits. You know, we as a community should be interested in breaking any generational habits that can affect our children in their future, right? So one of them is making sure that we don't pass down fears of what you experienced when you were a dentist. We make sure that they come to the dentist every 6 months. We make it fun for them. We make it an experience for them when they come to the dentist. You know, watching your children brush their teeth. If your child has poor ability to brush their teeth, you should be brushing their teeth. Also, unfortunately, sometimes children scream and fight you to brush their teeth. And, you know, unfortunately, we have to kind of get over that in order for them to, I guess, submit into the process of brushing your teeth. And it's hard because, you know, your child is screaming, you're trying to get ready, you're trying to have breakfast on the table. But we also have to just think of the hindsight. This is for the betterment of my child's health consistently. And then partnering with your dentist you make dentistry fun for them. Depending on the level of the child and how they're able to communicate with the doctor, they can go to a pediatric dentist, which is a specialized dentist that only sees children. And I tell my patients all the time, when they do go to a pediatric dentist, it's like Disneyland to them. And as a parent, you want to communicate that with the children so they can feel like this is such a fun experience. That is how we implement different tasks in order to help our children make better choices with their oral health, and will essentially help them as adults. Because I've had multiple times where I have adults that come into my chair and they have unfortunately poor oral health. They have missing teeth. They have abscesses. They're not confident because of their teeth. And
right.
me, it was my mother.
So the last thing I want to ask you, Dr. Sante, and we're going to have to get you back on for one of these other Health Month conversations. But, teeth whitening has become really popular over the last couple of years. I remember growing up, nobody talked about, we talked about if your teeth were not white, but we didn't talk about teeth whitening. But are there any things that people are doing to achieve whiter teeth that might not be safe?
Oh, absolutely. I love that question. So I'll try to make it short. I will say that going to someone who's not a certified dentist, I think is not a good thing. I think if you're looking for good results as far as teeth whitening, you should definitely consult your they do have over-the-counter teeth whitening products. However, the percentage of the whitening of capability is very moderate or very low because of the safety. So when you go to your dentist, they have high quality, increased production or ability to whitening your teeth. So I always recommend, if you're interested in whitening your teeth, go to your dentist. They have the product that will provide you the results you're looking for. And once you whiten your teeth, depending on your eating habits, you might need maintenance. So doing a teeth whitening one time and then maybe every 3 years doing some take-home products from your dentist can also help maintain that teeth whitening. Because if you're doing teeth whitening but you're still drinking coffee, you're eating blueberries, you're having habits that contradict your teeth whitening, you should just be honest with yourself and do your teeth whitening with your dentist, but then also do some take-homes every 3 to 4 months.
And quick question, just yes or no. Do white teeth necessarily mean you have a healthy mouth?
Oh, no.
Okay. Just want folks to know. Doctor, I'm sorry. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I was saying your teeth could be white, but then you have bad breath.
Which there are a lot of reasons for that too. So we're going to keep folks on the edge of their seats until we get you back on to figure out what we can do to help that person that we know that has bad breath, and how do we tell them? So Dr. Sante, thank you so very much for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon. Well, that brings us to another edition of Let's Talk. I am so excited that you all were with us today. We have a short video we're going to show you before we go. But before then, I just want to, because we're going to end with that. So before we go, I want to thank all of our guests, Connie Matthews Harshaw and Nathaniel Brown, Kaya Henley and Calyssa Zellars, Theresa Metzger and Monica Hodnett, and Dr. Arlene Asante for joining us for this broadcast today. I also want to thank those who are in the room that are with us. I mentioned them to you earlier, our team that's growing for the production of Let's Talk, and hopefully you'll see their credits at the end of the show. But I want to thank our interns our DTU interns for bringing us this brief video that you're going to see about why do we celebrate or observe the 4th of July. Until then, I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and stay well.
This week, millions of Americans will invite their loved ones to their backyards and barbecues to celebrate 4th of July. The holiday marks the signing of the Declaration of Independence nearly 250 years ago, officially separating the colonies from Great Britain. And for many Black Americans today, the words independence and freedom mean something totally different. I'm Harrison Buck, a Chevrolet DTU fellow reporting from DC's Ward 8 in Washington and Portland. And we're asking people, do you celebrate the 4th of July? I'm here with
Anisha.
And do you celebrate the 4th of July?
No, I don't.
Why?
Because I don't feel very independent in this country anymore. So I celebrate Juneteenth, and then on 4th of July I go to work.
And what makes 4th of July less uplifting than Juneteenth to you?
Because our country, the way they treat Black people or people of color, I don't feel very free on some of the things that we do, and there's the hidden racism that isn't so easy.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Fanita Dilworth.
And do you celebrate the 4th of July?
I do not celebrate the 4th of July because this 4th of July is very much about independence.